Today, we're unpacking a truly shocking moment in federal court, the courtroom confession of Luigi Mangione, and the incredibly complex, dual-jurisdiction legal chess match that kicked off the second he entered his plea. This single day in court didn't just alter the trajectory of a highly publicized tragedy, it could literally redefine how state and federal courts navigate high-profile, overlapping crimes from here on out.
Here is what we are covering today: the courtroom confession, the anatomy of the attack, the federal plea strategy, the double jeopardy battle unfolding in New York, and finally, we'll hear a statement from the victim's family.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the courtroom confession.
So this was absolutely not your standard procedural hearing. It was a deeply intense cold open to these proceedings. Picture this: a shackled and cuffed Luigi Mangione walks into a packed federal courtroom. He stands up before the judge and reads directly from a prepared statement, recounting in his own words exactly how he planned and carried out the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Now, obviously, a judge has to hear from a defendant to formally accept a guilty plea, but the sheer methodical detail he delivered in open court was just gripping. As for why he did it, Mangione actually laid out his personal, stated motives right there in court. Based entirely on his testimony, he claimed his actions stemmed from a combination of severe, debilitating back pain and an intense, overwhelming frustration with the health insurance system. And it was that exact combination, he told the judge, that drove him to specifically target the CEO.
Which brings us to Section 2, anatomy of the attack.
We actually have his exact chilling words from the hearing. Detailing his weapon prep in the ambush, he said, quote, "I used a 3D printer to make part of a gun, and I equipped the gun with a silencer and magazine. On the morning of December 4th, 2024, I shot Mr. Thompson in Manhattan and he died." Just a stark, undeniable admission of premeditation.
Let's look at how this all unfolded, because his timeline of preparation started well before the actual shooting. It kicked off with a deceptive digital entry. He emailed UnitedHealthcare leadership, deliberately posing as an investor just to gain access ahead of their investor conference. From there, he moved to physical weapon manufacturing, using a 3D printer for gun parts and adding a silencer and a magazine. This whole calculated timeline ultimately culminated on December 4th, 2024, when he ambushed and fatally shot Brian Thompson on a public sidewalk in Midtown Manhattan.
Moving right along to Section 3, the federal plea strategy.
Now you might be wondering, why make this incredibly detailed confession in open court instead of fighting the charges? Well, Mangione entered a guilty plea to 2 federal charges of stalking resulting in death. By explicitly accepting responsibility before a trial even starts, his high-profile legal team is actively trying to create a mitigating factor. They're basically laying the groundwork to argue for sentencing leniency, with the ultimate hope of securing a sentence that is less than life in prison.
It's a total clash of legal goals here. The defense is pushing hard for mitigation by leveraging this courtroom confession. Meanwhile, federal prosecutors are not backing down. They've maintained a firm, unwavering stance and clearly signaled they plan to seek the absolute maximum penalty, life in prison, during the official sentencing hearing, which is scheduled for this December.
But, the defense strategy is actually already yielding some results. Legal observers have noted that his expensive defense team secured some pretty major concessions right out of the gate, successfully reducing his initial federal indictment from 4 counts down to just 2.
And that numerical win is massive. Why? Because it literally takes the ultimate punishment completely off the table for Mangione. Through these legal maneuvers, the threat of the federal death penalty has been effectively eliminated.
And they didn't stop there. They pulled off a similar victory at the state level too, successfully narrowing his pending New York charges from 11 counts down to 8. That sets us up for Section 4, the double jeopardy battle.
Literally right after that federal plea, Mangione's defense pivoted straight to his pending New York State indictment. They immediately filed a motion in state court asking for a total dismissal of all state charges. Their entire argument hinges on double jeopardy. As you likely know, this is a strict legal protection in New York, dictating that a person cannot be tried twice for the same crime. The defense is arguing that, hey, he's already been convicted federally. Proceeding with a state trial now would violate this fundamental right. But the Manhattan District Attorney is pushing back hard. They're asserting that the pending state charges, which include second-degree murder, weapons offenses, and forged identification, are entirely distinct legal offenses from the federal conviction of stalking resulting in death. Because they define them as fundamentally different crimes, the DA's office insists the state prosecution absolutely must proceed.
Finally, we have Section 5, the family statement.
Amidst all these calculated legal strategies, the charge reductions, and the complex jurisdictional arguments, we really have to center the profound human impact of this tragedy. Brian Thompson's family, some of whom actually broke down during this emotionally charged hearing, issued a powerful statement. They emphasized that while their loss is irreplaceable and literally nothing will ease the pain of losing him, this federal plea represents a critical milestone. They express deep gratitude that the federal justice system has taken this important step to hold the person responsible for this heinous act fully accountable.
So as we wrap up this explainer, we are left with one massive pivotal question about how the mechanics of our justice system will handle this. Will State Supreme Court Judge Caro rule that the Manhattan DA's state prosecution can move forward, or must it be dismissed entirely under New York's strict double jeopardy protections? While the federal side waits for December sentencing, this state-level clash is honestly just getting started. Think about how Judge Caro's imminent decision could fundamentally reshape the boundaries between state and federal prosecutions in high-profile cases for years to come. Thanks for joining me to unpack this fascinating, ongoing legal battle.